First, like this video, hit subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. The humid air, thick with the scent of damp earth and unseen blossoms, wraps around you. A cacophony of unseen life, the shriek of howler monkeys, the rhythmic buzz of cicadas, forms a living soundtrack. This is Palenque, bathed in the dawn's first light, an ancient Mayan city reawakening from centuries of slumber, nestled deep within the verdant embrace of Mexico's Chiapas highlands. Imagine standing amidst monumental limestone structures, their intricate carvings softened by time and a pervasive emerald patina. Originally known as La Camha, or Big Water, due to the numerous springs and streams coursing through the area, Palenque rose to prominence during the classic Maya period, flourishing between 600 and 800 CE. Its architectural marvels, particularly the sophisticated roof combs and ornate stucco reliefs, distinguish it from other Maya sites. These artistic expressions weren't merely decorative. They were elaborate narratives documenting the reigns of its rulers and their perceived divine connections. One cannot discuss Palenque without encountering the enigmatic figure of Kinich Janab Pakal the Fershkwa, or Pakal the Great. Ascending the throne in 615 CE at the age of 12, Pakal's reign spanned 68 years, an extraordinary period during which Palenque reached its zenith. His most lasting legacy is undoubtedly the Temple of the Inscriptions, a 9-tiered pyramid serving as his monumental funerary monument, discovered in 1952 by archaeologist Alberto Rusluilier. Pakal's sarcophagus, adorned with a now famous intricate carving depicting his descent into the underworld and rebirth, provided invaluable insights into Maya cosmology and royal death rituals. The hieroglyphic panels within the temple walls chronicle centuries of Palenque's dynastic history, offering a rare primary source window into a highly complex society. Further exploration of Palenque reveals remarkable hydraulic engineering. The Otulam River, once channeled beneath the city through an elaborately vaulted aqueduct system, speaks to the Mayas' profound understanding of water management. This sophisticated infrastructure not only provided potable water, but also mitigated flood risks, a testament to their engineering prowess in a challenging jungle environment. Expert analysis of these systems reveals a strategic design that optimized both distribution and drainage, demonstrating an advanced grasp of hydraulic principles centuries ahead of their time. The sheer scale and precision of these ancient innovations continue to astound researchers today, cementing Palenque's status not just as a city of spiritual significance, but also of extraordinary human ingenuity. Beyond the monumental tombs, the heart of Palenque beats within its administrative and ceremonial core, the palace. This sprawling complex, a labyrinth of courtyards, subterranean passages, and ornate chambers, served not only as the royal residence, but also as the primary stage for Palenque's political and ritual theatre. Its most iconic feature, a 4-story tower, stands as one of the few known examples of its kind in Maya architecture. While its precise function remains debated, archaeological evidence and expert interpretations suggest it likely served as an astronomical observatory, allowing priests and rulers to track celestial movements crucial for calendrical calculations and ritual timing. The intricate stucco work adorning the palace walls provides a visual encyclopedia of Palenque's history and cosmology. These detailed reliefs depict rulers, deities, and mythological scenes, often featuring glyphic texts that elaborate on the narrative. For example, prominent stucco panels within the palace illustrate Pakal and his successors engaged in crucial rituals, validating their divine right to rule. The careful preservation of these stuccos, often by subsequent generations who revered their ancestors, offers invaluable data for epigraphers and art historians studying the Maya past. Dr. David Stewart, a leading Maya epigrapher, notably deciphered key sections of these inscriptions, revealing complex dynastic struggles and alliances that shaped Palenque's destiny. The architectural burden carried by the ancient Maya was immense. Lacking metal tools and beasts of burden, the construction of these immense structures was an extraordinary feat of human organization and labor. Limestone, the primary building material, was quarried locally, then cut, dressed, and transported by hand, often across significant distances. The precision required for corbel arch construction, a signature element of Maya architecture, demanded sophisticated understanding of engineering principles. These arches, formed by stepping stones inward until they met at the apex, created impressive vaulted spaces without true arch technology. Below the grand structures, Palenque's subterranean world further reveals the architect's ingenuity. Subterranean channels, once carrying the Otulum River through the city, as discussed in the previous chapter, demonstrate a profound grasp of hydrology and urban planning. These hidden waterways not only managed heavy rainfall, but also fed integral water sources for the city's inhabitants. The integration of nature into their urban design speaks volumes about the Mayan worldview, where the built environment was not separate from the natural, but inextricably linked, reflecting their cosmological beliefs and environmental adaptability. This seamless blend of architectural ambition and practical engineering continues to define Palenque's enduring legacy. Leaving behind the solemn majesty of Palenque's stone narratives, we delve now into the vibrant, pulsating heart of Mayan daily life, the marketplace. Imagine stepping into a bustling pre-Columbian tianguis, a lively open-air market in a major Maya city like Tikal or Calakmul. The air is thick with the competing aromas of roasting maize, pungent chilies, exotic fruits, and the undeniable, rich bitterness of cacao. Here, amidst the clamour of bartering voices and the rustling of woven goods, the true economic and social tapestry of the Maya world unfolds. Cacao, Theobroma cacao, held an unparalleled position within Maya society, far beyond mere sustenance. It was considered a sacred plant, a gift from the gods, deeply intertwined with ritual, social status, and ultimately currency. The Maya were among the first cultivators of cacao, with archaeological evidence suggesting its use dating back as far as 1500 BCE among the Olmecs, precursors to the Maya. For the classic Maya, cacao beans were not just a commodity. They were a form of proto-currency, used to purchase everything from food to textiles, and even to pay tribute to lords. A rabbit might cost 10 cacao beans, while a slave could fetch 100. This established economic role of cacao provided a standardized medium of exchange across the diverse Maya city-states. The preparation of cacao was an art form in itself. The beans were fermented, dried, roasted, and then ground into a paste. This paste was often mixed with water, chili peppers, cornmeal, and other flavorings, then frothed into a bitter, spicy, invigorating drink. This isn't the sweet confection we know today. Maya cacao was a potent elixir consumed by elites during ceremonies, given as offerings to deities, and used to seal important transactions. Elaborately decorated ceramic vessels, often found in elite burials, frequently depict scenes of cacao consumption and preparation, underscoring its ceremonial significance. Studies of ancient Maya residues on these vessels by researchers like Dr. Patrick McGovern have confirmed the prevalence of theobromine, the active compound in cacao, further solidifying its historical use. The market then was not just a place for trade, it was a microcosm of Maya civilization. It was where farmers brought their surplus, artisans displayed their craft, and merchants facilitated the long-distance exchange of goods that connected city-states. From obsidian blades sourced from the highlands to marine shells from the coast, luxury items traveled vast networks, often traded for bundles of cacao beans. The aroma of cacao was, in many ways, the smell of commerce, power, and sacred ritual, all converging in the vibrant chaos of the Maya marketplace. From the bustling markets, where cacao changed hands and fortunes, we turn now to a more somber, yet equally vital aspect of Maya life: the sacred rituals that appeased the gods and ensured cosmic balance. In the heart of the Yucatan Peninsula, where rivers run unseen beneath porous limestone, nature offers a direct portal to the underworld, the cenotes. These natural sinkholes, formed by the collapse of limestone bedrock exposing groundwater, were not merely water sources. They were revered as sacred gateways to Xibalba, the Maya underworld, and the dwelling places of powerful deities, none more crucial than Shak, the god of rain. The most famous of these, the sacred cenote at Chichen Itza, known in Yucatec Maya as Tzonotchac, or Well of Chak, is a stark, gaping maw in the earth. For centuries, this cenote served as a primary site for pilgrimage and elaborate ceremonies dedicated to Chak and other underworld deities. The dry season in the Yucatan could be brutal, and a prolonged drought threatened the very existence of the agricultural Maya. Thus, pleas for rain, for the sustenance of maize, their staple crop, were paramount. These supplications often involved offerings of immense value and, at times, human sacrifice. Archaeological investigations of the sacred cenote, pioneered by Edward H. Thompson in the early 20th century, and later continued with more advanced techniques, have yielded a wealth of artifacts. Divers have recovered thousands of objects: finely carved jade, gold and copper ornaments, pottery, obsidian blades, rubber balls, and elaborate textiles. These varied offerings represent centuries of devotion, meticulously placed into the water as gifts to the underworld gods. The presence of weaponry alongside valuable jewelry suggests that these sacrifices were not always passive tributes, but perhaps symbolic acts of warfare for divine favor. Forensic analysis of human remains recovered from the cenote tells a sobering story. While initial interpretations heavily emphasized young women as primary sacrificial victims, modern osteological studies have revealed a more complex picture. Skeletons indicate both males and females were sacrificed, spanning a range of ages, from children to adults. Many exhibit signs of trauma consistent with ritual killing, such as blunt force trauma or dismemberment. These sacrifices, often performed during times of severe environmental stress like drought, were desperate acts, believed to represent the ultimate offering, the gift of life itself, to ensure the continuation of the world and the survival of their civilization. The cenote, therefore, served as a tangible link between the living and the divine, a testament to the Mayas' profound spiritual conviction and their intimate, often brutal, relationship with the natural world. Leaving behind the dark waters of the sacred cenote, where prayers for sustenance often culminated in desperate offerings, we now turn our attention to another profound aspect of Maya society: warfare. Far from the romantic notion of spiritual scholars, The classic Maya were fierce warriors, and their conflicts were not merely for territorial gain or resources. They were intricate affairs, deeply entwined with religious beliefs, political power struggles, and the very concept of cosmic order. Central to this complex world of combat was a material both beautiful and deadly: obsidian. Obsidian, a naturally occurring volcanic glass, possesses an unparalleled sharpness, capable of holding an edge finer than surgical steel. Its dark, reflective surface, born of cooling lava, rendered it both practical and symbolically potent. For the Maya warrior, obsidian was the preferred choice for projectile points, spearheads, and especially for the macuahuitl, a formidable wooden club edged with numerous obsidian blades. This weapon, equivalent to a modern sword in its fearsome effectiveness, was capable of inflicting devastating injuries. Trace element analysis of obsidian artifacts across Maya sites has allowed archaeologists to pinpoint the geological origin of the stone, revealing extensive trade networks that transported this vital resource from highland quarries in places like El Chayal and Ixtepeque in modern-day Guatemala, hundreds of kilometers to lowland cities. Maya warfare was often ritualized. Capture, rather than outright slaughter, was frequently the primary objective, particularly in conflicts between elite forces. Captives, especially rival kings or high-ranking nobles, were immensely valuable. They were paraded in triumphal processions, humiliated, and often subjected to elaborate sacrifice rituals, as depicted on monumental carvings like the lintels of Yaxchilan. These scenes graphically illustrate bound captives, their faces contorted in agony awaiting their fate. Such sacrifices, seen as vital for appeasing deities and renewing the cosmos, further underscored the intertwined nature of religion and warfare. The silent hunt of the warrior was also a political act. Epigraphic evidence from sites like Dos Pilas and Naranjo details long-standing rivalries and shifting alliances between city-states, with wars fought over access to trade routes, agricultural lands, and increasingly, prestige and dynastic succession. The Maya developed advanced tactical strategies, employing coordinated assaults, ambushes, and fortifications. While not necessarily large-scale standing armies in the European sense, the Maya fielded well-organized forces comprising professional warriors alongside conscripted commoners. This constant interplay of diplomacy and conflict, marked by the glint of obsidian, shaped the political landscape of the classic Maya world, revealing a civilization constantly on the brink, or in the throes, of its next silent, deadly encounter. From the brutal realities of Maya warfare, etched in the obsidian blades and the ritual sacrifices, we transition to a different kind of precision, one focused not on conflict, but on the meticulous observation of the cosmos. The Maya, far from being solely concerned with earthly power, were profound astronomers, their gaze fixed on the heavens. They charted the movements of celestial bodies with astonishing accuracy, integrating these observations into their complex calendar systems, religious beliefs, and architectural designs. Nowhere is this brilliance more evident than at Chichen Itza, particularly at the structure known as El Caracol, the snail. El Caracol, a unique circular observatory, stands as a testament to Maya astronomical prowess. Unlike the rectangular pyramids and palaces typical of Maya architecture, its curvilinear form and multiple sightlines were designed for celestial tracking. Its winding interior staircase and various windows and doorways were meticulously aligned to significant astronomical events. For instance, specific apertures align with the setting sun on the spring equinox. the northernmost and southernmost settings of Venus, and the Moon's maximum northern and southern standstills. These alignments were not coincidental. They reflect centuries of accumulated astronomical data and a profound understanding of cyclical cosmic patterns. The Maya developed sophisticated mathematical systems to support their astronomical calculations. Their vigesimal, or base 20 number system, which included the concept of zero, allowed for the computation of vast time periods. Their calendar system was arguably the most accurate in the ancient world, comprised of two interlocking cycles, the 260-day Tzolk'in, sacred round, and the 365-day Harb, civil year. These two cycles meshed every 52 years, marking a calendar round. Beyond this, the Maya utilized the long count calendar, a linear counting of days from a mythological starting point in 3114 BCE, enabling them to track time over millennia. This precision allowed them to predict solar and lunar eclipses with remarkable accuracy, as evidenced in codices like the Dresden Codex, a pre-Columbian Maya book containing astronomical tables and astrological almanacs. For the Maya, the cosmos was a living, breathing entity, and the movements of planets like Venus, often associated with the war god Kukulkan, were believed to influence terrestrial events. The astronomer priests of Chichen Itza were not simply observers. They were interpreters of divine will. Their predictions guided agricultural cycles, determined auspicious dates for war and sacrifice, and legitimized the authority of rulers who often claimed descent from celestial beings. The architectural alignments at Chichen Itza and other sites were therefore more than engineering feats. They were cosmic maps solidified in stone, allowing the Maya to synchronize their lives with the rhythms of the universe, ensuring the continuous, fragile balance between heaven and earth. From the astronomer's precise gaze upon the distant cosmos, we descend now to a more visceral arena, one where human skill, ritual drama, and cosmic significance clashed on a stone field. The Maya ball game, known as pits, was not merely a sport. It was a deeply symbolic ritual, a proxy for warfare, a reenactment of mythological tales, and a vital conduit for communicating with the divine. Dominating the central plazas of nearly every major Maya city, the ball court represents another extraordinary fusion of the practical and the profound within Maya civilization. Imagine standing on the ancient playing field, the towering walls of the ball court rising around you, reverberating with the shouts of spectators and the thud of the solid rubber ball. The game itself was a brutal affair, played with a heavy rubber ball, estimated to weigh between 3 to 10 pounds. Players propelled the ball using only their hips, elbows and knees, protected by thick padding made of deerskin or cotton. The objective varied between regions and periods, but commonly involved passing the ball through stone hoops, mounted high on the court walls, a feat that must have been exceedingly difficult given the ball's weight and the restricted movement of the players. The Great Ball Court at Chichen Itza, the largest in Mesoamerica, stretches 168 meters, 551 feet, in length, its massive ring standing 6 meters, 20 feet, above the playing alley. The ball game was steeped in religious symbolism, often reenacting the mythological struggle between the hero twins, Hunahpu and Palenque, and the lords of Xibalba, as recounted in the Popol Vuh. The ball itself could represent the sun, moon, or other celestial bodies, its movement across the court mirroring their cosmic journey. The high stakes of the game extended beyond mere victory. The fate of captured warriors, and sometimes even the players themselves, could be decided on the ball court. Relief carvings on the walls of these courts, particularly at El Tajin and Chichen Itza explicitly depict scenes of sacrifice associated with the game, showing victorious players holding the decapitated head of an opponent or a ritual heart extraction. This imagery, once considered shocking, is now understood as part of a complex ritual narrative where blood sacrifice was seen as nurturing the gods and ensuring the continuation of the cosmos. Beyond its ritualistic and sacrificial dimensions, the ball game also served as a political arena. Matches could be played between rival city-states, with the outcome potentially influencing alliances, trade agreements, or even the release of captives taken in actual warfare. Rulers commissioned elaborate ball courts, not only as sites for this sacred game, but also as monumental statements of their wealth, power, and ability to connect with the divine. Thus, the ball court was a stage where life, death, politics, and the very destiny of the Maya world converged in a dramatic, often deadly, spectacle. From the intense drama of the ball court, where history was reenacted and futures decided, we shift our focus to the quiet, meticulous work that truly preserved the Maya past for eternity, the hand of the scribe. While the ball game provided a narrative through action, the scribes provided it through glyphs, meticulously carving, painting, and sculpting the history, mythology, and astronomical observations of their civilization. The Maya developed the most sophisticated writing system in the pre-Columbian Americas, a complex logographic and syllabic script that allowed for a nuanced record of their world. The decipherment of Maya hieroglyphs is one of the greatest archaeological feats of the 20th century. For centuries, the glyphs stood as an impenetrable mystery, often dismissed as mere pictograms or ideograms. However, the groundbreaking work of scholars like Yuri Knorozov, who proposed a phonetic component, and later Linda Shaley, David Stewart, and others, revealed a fully functional writing system capable of expressing any thought. This ongoing process of decipherment has unlocked a treasure trove of information, transforming our understanding of Maya history from speculative theories to detailed accounts of dynastic lineages, political alliances, wars, and religious practices. Maya scribes, a specialized and highly respected class, were essential to the functioning of their society. They served at the courts of kings, documenting royal rituals, military victories, and ancestral histories on stelae, altars, temple facades, and ceramic vessels. They meticulously recorded astronomical data and calendrical cycles, ensuring the proper timing for agricultural activities and religious ceremonies. Much of this knowledge was preserved in codices, folding books made from fig bark paper, bound with plaster, and covered with a thin layer of stucco before being painted. Tragically, only 4 of these codices, the Dresden, Madrid, Paris, and Grolier codices, survived the Spanish conquest, which saw countless others deliberately destroyed as idolatrous texts. These surviving codices are invaluable. The Dresden Codex, for instance, contains astronomical tables of incredible accuracy, including predictions for solar and lunar eclipses and calculations for the cycles of Venus. Had more codices survived, our understanding of Maya science, religion, and daily life would be exponentially richer. The surviving inscriptions across monumental architecture and portable artifacts, however, continue to be painstakingly deciphered, each newly understood glyph adding another piece to the intricate puzzle of the Maya past. Through the scribe's enduring legacy, etched in stone and painted on bark, the voices of the ancient Maya whisper across millennia, testifying to a civilization of profound intellect and cultural depth. From the intellectual rigor of the scribes and their preserved histories, we journey now into the biological heart of the Maya world, the sprawling, vibrant Selva Maya. This rainforest, far from being a hostile wilderness, was the ultimate provider, a vast and complex ecosystem that the Maya understood with unparalleled intimacy. For them, the forest was not merely a backdrop to their monumental cities. It was a living larder, a pharmacy, and a spiritual sanctuary, providing everything from construction materials to life-saving medicines. The Maya practiced sophisticated agroforestry, a sustainable land management system that integrated agriculture with the cultivation of trees and other perennial plants. While maize, beans, and squash formed the agricultural triad upon which their civilization was built, the forest offered a diverse bounty that complemented their farmed crops. Everyday sustenance came from a variety of wild and semi-cultivated plants. Fruits such as papaya, avocado, and sapodilla, the source of chicle, a natural gum, root crops like jicama and manioc, and a plethora of leafy greens. These native species were often managed, not just passively collected, within the surrounding forest, reflecting a deep ecological knowledge. Remains of ancient Mayan garden plots, known as peten, in some areas reveal careful cultivation of a wide array of plants. Beyond direct food sources, the forest provided essential medicinal plants. The Maya developed an extensive pharmacopoeia, drawing upon thousands of years of accumulated empirical knowledge. Healers, or shaman, understood the properties of countless herbs, barks, leaves, and resins. For instance, the bark of the cinchona tree, containing quinine, was used to treat fevers, a precursor to its later use against malaria. The resin of the Proteum copal tree, known as copal, was burned during ceremonies as an incense and also possessed antimicrobial properties. The Maya utilized plants for pain relief, wound healing, digestive ailments, and even as psychoactive agents for spiritual rituals, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of plant chemistry and ethnobotany. The forest was also a critical source of materials for construction, tools, and crafts. Hardwoods, like cedar and mahogany, were used for beams and carvings in temples and palaces. Palm fronds provided roofing for common dwellings. Cotton, grown in forest clearings, was spun into textiles. Every element of Maya daily life, from the food on their tables to the remedies for their ills, was intricately linked to the forest's immense biological diversity. Their ability to sustainably manage and extract resources from this demanding environment for over 2 millennia speaks to a profound ecological wisdom that we are only now beginning to fully appreciate and learn from. The forest's bounty truly underpinned the very existence of what became one of the world's most enduring and complex civilizations. From the practical sustenance of the rainforest, providing both food and medicine, we now turn to an art form that speaks volumes about Maya aesthetic sensibilities, social structure, and cosmic beliefs: textiles. While monumental architecture and intricate ceramics often capture our attention, the ephemeral nature of ancient cloth belies its profound significance. Textiles were not merely clothing. They were visual narratives, status symbols, offerings to deities, and a vibrant canvas for expressing the Maya worldview. Though few ancient Maya textiles survive due to the humid climate, archaeological evidence, especially in mural paintings, ceramic depictions, and stone carvings, provides rich insights. We see elaborately dressed figures, from divine rulers to powerful shamans, adorned in garments that signify their rank, lineage, and role within society. The Maya cultivated cotton. Gossypium hirsutum, a native plant, which was then spun, dyed, and meticulously woven on backstrap looms. Dyes were extracted from natural sources: indigo for blues, cochineal insects for vibrant reds, and various plants for yellows and greens, showcasing their advanced knowledge of natural chemistry. The patterns and motifs woven into Maya textiles were far from arbitrary. Every design element carried symbolic weight, often depicting mythological creatures, celestial bodies, agricultural symbols like the maize god, or geometric patterns that represented the cosmos. A weaver, typically a woman, would intricately interlace threads, not just creating fabric, but literally weaving the cosmos into the cloth. Specific designs could identify a person's city-state, their social class, their spiritual affiliation, and even the events of their life. For example, the huipil, a traditional blouse, often incorporates complex designs that communicate elements of a woman's identity and community. Textiles also played a crucial role in Maya rituals and diplomacy. Fine cloths were offered to gods, wrapped around sacred bundles, or used as shrouds for the elite. In political negotiations, the exchange of elaborate textiles could seal alliances or solidify tribute relationships between city-states. The skill of the weaver was highly valued, a testament to the cultural importance of this craft. Even in death, the Maya were adorned in textiles, their bodies wrapped in layers of finely woven cloth, a silent testament to the belief that these threads carried with them the essence of their identity and connection to the divine. This rich tradition of textile arts continues to thrive today in contemporary Maya communities, a living legacy that connects the present directly to the profound artistic and spiritual heritage of their ancestors. From the intricate, symbolic narratives woven into Maya textiles, we delve now into the very heart of Maya spirituality, the role of the shaman. In a world where the veil between the ordinary and the sacred was perpetually thin, it was the shaman, a healer, diviner, and spiritual guide, who navigated the complex cosmic landscape, bridging the human and divine realms. Their ability to induce and interpret altered states of consciousness, often through ritualistic practices and the use of psychoactive substances, was central to Maya religious life and crucial for maintaining cosmic balance. The concept of vision serpents, or world trees, emerging from the mouths of supernatural beings or directly from the ground, represents the axis mundi, the conduit through which shamans traveled between the three layers of the cosmos: the celestial heavens, the earthly realm, and the underworld. Maya kings, acting as supreme shamans, frequently presented themselves in iconography, engaging in auto-sacrifice rituals, often involving bloodletting from the tongue, ears, or penis, to induce trance states and commune with ancestors or deities. The lintel 24 at Yaxchilan, for example, vividly depicts Lady Zok pulling a barbed rope through her tongue, while her husband, Shield Jaguar 4, oversees the ritual. From her vision, a serpent emerges carrying a warrior ancestor. The induction of trance states was a fundamental aspect of shamanic practice. While bloodletting was primarily an elite ritual, other methods included chanting, drumming, prolonged fasting, and the ceremonial use of psychoactive plants and fungi indigenous to the Maya lowlands. Substances like morning glory seeds, peyote cactus, and certain mushrooms were understood to facilitate communication with spiritual entities, providing visions that informed decisions regarding warfare, agriculture, and healing. Archaeological evidence, such as residue analysis of vessels, confirms the ritual consumption of these substances. Moreover, the prevalence of effigy censer iconography Depicting human faces transforming into jaguar or serpent visages suggests the shamanic concept of wayob, the ability to transform into or invoke animal spirit companions during trance. The shaman's role extended beyond mere prophecy. They were integral to the well-being of the community. They diagnosed and treated illnesses, mediated disputes, performed divination to determine auspicious dates for events, and ensured the proper appeasement of gods and ancestors. Their knowledge of herbal medicine, much of which we explored in the previous chapter, combined with their spiritual insights, made them indispensable figures within Maya society. The shaman's journey into the other world was not an escape from reality, but a profound engagement with it, bringing back critical information and spiritual energy to sustain and guide their civilization. Their visions, therefore, were not just personal experiences, but communal lifelines, shaping the fate of kings and commoners alike through perceived conduits to the divine. While shamans sought visions beyond the veil, guiding the Maya through spiritual realms, the very fabric of their existence was anchored by an equally profound, yet rigorously mathematical understanding of time. The Maya calendar system, far from being a singular entity, was a sophisticated interlocking series of cycles, a relentless march that governed every aspect of their lives, from agricultural cycles to royal coronations, and from the timing of wars to the very destiny of the cosmos. It stands as one of humanity's most complex and accurate calendrical achievements. At its core, the Maya calendar woven together two primary cycles, the 260-day Tzolk'in, or sacred count, and the 365-day Hab, or vague year. The Tzolk'in combined 20-day names with 13 numbers, yielding 260 unique day designations. This sacred calendar was primarily used for divination, naming individuals, and determining auspicious dates for religious ceremonies. The Habli consisted of 18 months of 20 days each, plus a 5-day period known as the Wayeb, a time considered dangerous and unlucky. These two calendars intermeshed like gears, forming a 52-year cycle known as the calendar round. Every 52 years, the Tzolk'in and Hab would return to the same starting point, a period often marked by significant ritual renewal. Beyond the calendar round, the Maya also utilized the long count calendar, a linear reckoning of days from a mythological starting point in 3114 BCE. This system allowed them to record vast expanses of time, operating on a base 20 system, often depicted as a stack of values representing days, kin, 20-day periods, winal, 360-day years, tun, 7,200-day periods, katun, and 144,000-day periods, baktun. Stelae and other monuments across the Maya lowlands are replete with long count dates, often commemorating the accession of rulers, major military victories, or significant astronomical events. These dates provided a precise historical framework for their civilization, allowing epigraphers today to reconstruct dynastic timelines with remarkable accuracy. The Mayas' obsession with time was not arbitrary. It was deeply rooted in their cyclical worldview. They believed that time was not linear but repetitive, with events and energies repeating themselves over vast intervals. The meticulous charting of celestial movements, as glimpsed at El Caracol in Chichen Itza, was critical for understanding these cycles, predicting their recurrence, and aligning human activity with cosmic forces. The Dresden Codex, one of only 4 surviving pre-Columbian Maya codices, contains extensive tables for predicting solar and lunar eclipses, as well as the 584-day cycle of Venus, demonstrating astronomical precision unparalleled in the ancient world. For the Maya, Understanding the relentless march of these interlocking cycles was not merely an intellectual pursuit. It was fundamental to their spiritual connection to the universe and their very survival. Their calendars were not just tools for measuring time, but blueprints for navigating the cosmos. From the profound depths of Maya temporal calculation, we now shift our gaze to the more tangible, yet equally vital, networks that sustain their vast civilization. The elaborate trade routes that crisscrossed Mesoamerica. While grand temples and intricate glyphs speak of spiritual and intellectual achievements, the everyday reality of Maya city-states depended heavily on the efficient movement of goods, connecting distant regions and enriching local economies. At the heart of this intricate exchange system was a commodity often overlooked, yet utterly essential to life: salt. Salt in the humid tropics was more than just a seasoning. It was a cornerstone of nutrition and preservation, crucial for human health and for curing foodstuffs. The Maya lowlands, especially the Yucatan Peninsula, possessed abundant natural salt sources, primarily along the coastlines, where salt flats provided readily available deposits. Early evidence for large-scale salt production, dating to the late Classic period, c. 600–900 CE, has been found at sites like Paynes Creek in Belize. Here, wooden structures and pottery fragments indicate ancient salt works, suggesting systematic extraction and processing. These coastal operations were critical, generating surpluses that could then be traded inland. The journey of salt and countless other goods reveals a sophisticated network of Maya commerce. While cacao beans served as a form of currency, the actual movement of bulk goods relied on a combination of water and land routes. Canoe traffic along the Caribbean and Gulf coasts, connecting city-states from the Yucatan to Honduras, was a vital artery. Inland, rivers like the Usumacinta and Pasión provided natural highways deep into the jungle, linking power centers like Palenque, Yaxchilan, and Piedras Negras. Where rivers ended, an extensive network of footpaths, often maintained by local communities, carried goods on the backs of human porters as the Maya lacked beasts of burden. This labor-intensive transport system highlights the high value placed on traded commodities. Beyond salt, luxury goods like obsidian from the Guatemalan highlands, as discussed in Chapter 3, jade from the Motagua River Valley, quetzal feathers from cloud forests, and marine shells from the coasts were traded over vast distances. These items, often controlled by elite merchants, not only supplied the needs and desires of the ruling classes, but also solidified political alliances and symbolized prestige. The presence of highland Guatemalan obsidian mirrors the presence of lowland Maya pottery in distant regions, providing archaeological evidence of these extensive interactions. The salt of the earth was indeed a fundamental ingredient in the economic and social cohesion of the Maya world, binding an extensive network of city-states into a complex, interconnected civilization. From the essential commodities like salt, which fueled daily life and trade, we elevate our focus to another significant class of goods, those that proclaimed status, solidified power, and embodied sacred symbolism. Exotic feathers. In the ancient Maya world, attire was never simply functional. It was a carefully constructed language, a vibrant display of identity, wealth, and especially one's connection to the divine. And nowhere was this more apparent than in the spectacular use of avian plumage. The most prized feathers came from the resplendent quetzal, Pharomacrus mucino, a bird native to the cloud forests of the Maya highlands. Its iridescent green tail feathers, some reaching up to 3 feet in length, were exceptionally rare and therefore commanded immense value. Other sought-after feathers included the blue-green of the turquoise-browed motmot, the brilliant red of the scarlet macaw, and the yellow of the yellow-headed parrot. These living jewels were not merely hunted. The Maya practiced sustainable harvesting, often capturing the birds, carefully plucking their coveted feathers, and then releasing them, ensuring a continuous supply for generations. This practice underscores their profound ecological understanding. Featherwork was an art form reserved primarily for the elite. Rulers and high-ranking nobles adorned themselves with elaborate feather headdresses, capes, and decorative elements on their clothing. These creations were more than mere fashion statements. They were potent symbols of divine authority. The Quetzal, with its perceived connection to the sky, and its association with the feathered serpent deity Kukulkan, or Quetzalcoatl, imbued its wearer with sacred power. Depictions on stelae, murals, and ceramic vessels across various classic Maya sites, such as the famous murals of Bonampak, vividly illustrate rulers in ceremonial regalia, their towering feather headdresses dominating the scene. These artistic representations offer invaluable insight into the sheer scale and complexity of Maya feather craftsmanship. The acquisition and use of these precious feathers also highlight the intricate web of Maya trade and tribute. Lowland cities, lacking indigenous Quetzal populations, relied on extensive trade networks with highland communities. These feathers would have been valuable items of tribute, cementing political relationships and demonstrating the reach of a ruler's power. The arduous journey of gathering, transporting, and then painstakingly assembling these delicate feathers into magnificent regalia required immense skill and labor, further enhancing their value and reinforcing the wearer's elevated status. Thus, the rustle of Quetzal feathers in the court of a Maya king was not just a sound. It was a powerful declaration of wealth, power, and a direct visible connection to the spiritual forces that governed their cosmos. The feathers, in essence, were woven threads of ancient authority. From the ephemeral shimmer of Quetzal feathers, denoting power and prestige, we now turn to a more enduring, yet equally articulate, medium through which the Maya expressed their culture and daily lives: clay. While the Maya never developed the potter's wheel, their ceramic artistry reached extraordinary heights, shaping not just utilitarian objects for daily use, but also vessels that served as canvases for intricate narratives, ritual tools, and markers of social status. Pottery, remarkably durable, provides archaeologists with an unparalleled window into ancient Maya civilization. The diverse forms and functions of Maya ceramics speak volumes about their society. Commoners use simple, unslipped bowls and jars for cooking, storing water and food, and serving meals. These everyday items, often found in domestic contexts, reflect the practical necessities of Maya households. In contrast, elite ceramics, frequently found in burial chambers or caches, were highly decorated polychrome vessels, sometimes depicting complex scenes of royal life, mythological narratives, or historical events. These often served as markers of social hierarchy and were exchanged as gifts between ruling families, cementing political alliances and displaying wealth. The production of Maya pottery was a labor-intensive process requiring specialized skills. Clay sources were carefully selected, often requiring processing to remove impurities. Potters, using coiling or slab-building techniques, meticulously formed each piece by hand. After shaping, vessels were often burnished with smooth stones to create a lustrous surface before drying. The most distinctive feature of classic Maya elite pottery is its elaborate decoration, executed with mineral-based paints, often red, black, orange, and cream, and then fired at relatively low temperatures. This polychrome style often features sophisticated iconographic and hieroglyphic designs, offering additional narratives to the written texts on stelae and codices. The codex style of pottery from the Palenque region, characterized by thin black lines on a cream slip, is particularly famous for its mythological scenes. Analysis of ceramic styles and clay composition has allowed archaeologists to trace trade routes, identify regional artistic traditions, and even pinpoint the workshops of master potters. For instance, chemical profiling of clay from different sites can reveal where a vessel was produced, even if it was found hundreds of miles away, thus shedding light on economic exchange networks. The Mayas' ability to create such fine and diverse pottery without the efficiency of the potter's wheel speaks to their incredible craftsmanship and dedication to aesthetic beauty and cultural expression. Each vessel, whether a simple cooking pot or an elaborate funerary urn, tells a story, shaping our understanding of how the Maya lived, worshipped, and remembered their past. From the masterful hand that shaped exquisite pottery, we turn our gaze now to the youngest members of Maya society, whose lives were also shaped by the intricate demands and vibrant culture of their civilization. While much of our focus has been on kings, priests, and warriors, the future of the Maya rested squarely on the shoulders of its children. In a Maya village, childhood was a delicate balance of play and burgeoning responsibility, a crucial period of socialization and skill acquisition that prepared them for their adult roles. Archaeological findings and ethnographic studies of contemporary Maya communities offer insights into ancient Maya childhood. Infants were often carried close to their mothers in rebozos, a form of sling fostering strong bonds and early immersion in community life. As they grew, children's lives were characterized by a blend of supervised freedom and gradual integration into adult labor. Toys, though rarely preserved, likely included miniature versions of adult tools, rattles, and simple figurines, encouraging imaginative play that mirrored adult activities. Ceramic figurines sometimes depict children playing with small animals or mimicking adults in household tasks, offering rare glimpses into these aspects of their lives. However, Maya childhood was not solely dominated by recreation. From a very young age, children were expected to contribute to the household economy, acquiring essential skills through observation and direct participation. Girls learned to grind maize, prepare tortillas, weave textiles, as discussed in Chapter 5, and care for younger siblings, gradually mastering the domestic arts that were central to family well-being. Boys accompanied their fathers to the milpa, the maize fields, learning agricultural techniques, hunting, and fishing. They observed and assisted in crafts like pottery making, obsidian knapping, or construction, developing the expertise needed for their future roles. This apprenticeship model, deeply embedded in Maya culture, ensured the transmission of vital knowledge and skills across generations, from the most basic survival techniques to the specialized crafts like weaving and pottery production that we have explored. The burden of childhood in ancient Maya society was significant, yet it was also a period of intense learning and cultural immersion. Children were exposed early to the complex religious beliefs, the importance of celestial cycles, and the rituals that governed community life. Their education was holistic, combining practical skills with spiritual understanding, preparing them to become fully contributing members of a sophisticated agricultural society. Through this blend of play and labor, respect for tradition and community values, Maya children were not just raising themselves, they were safeguarding the legacy of one of the world's most enduring civilizations, a continuation of the threads of identity and belief woven into every aspect of Maya life. From the foundational lessons of Maya childhood, where the values and skills of a civilization were instilled, we now turn our attention to the artisans whose hands translated these cultural narratives into enduring stone. The monumental art of the classic Maya, particularly their intricate stelae, altars, and architectural reliefs, represents a pinnacle of artistic expression and a primary source of historical information. Far from being mere decorative elements, these stone carvings were public declarations, records of dynastic power, and manifestations of their complex cosmology. The creation of these massive stone monuments was a monumental undertaking, orchestrated by a highly skilled class of sculptor-scribes. Lacking metal tools, the Maya primarily used tools made of harder stone like chert, obsidian, or jade. The process began with the quarrying of limestone, often weighing many tons. This raw material was then transported, sometimes over considerable distances, to the city centre. Imagine the collective human effort without beasts of burden required to move a 10-foot tall stela from quarry to plaza. Once in place, the true artistry began. Using percussive techniques, sculptors would rough out the general shape and depth of the design. Then, with finer tools, they meticulously carved the intricate details, the elaborate headdresses of rulers, the serpentine forms of deities, the stylized flora and fauna, and perhaps most importantly, the dense columns of hieroglyphic text. These glyphs, as previously discussed, were not just decorative but recorded precise dates, often in the long count calendar, the names and genealogies of kings, accounts of battles, rituals, and diplomatic alliances. The stelae acted as giant historical chronicles, publicly proclaiming the legitimacy and achievements of the ruling elite. For example, the stelae at Copan, particularly those commemorating ruler 18 Rabbit, showcase remarkably deep relief and a highly naturalistic style, documenting his reign with unparalleled detail. Many of these stone carvings were originally painted in vibrant colors, adding another dimension to their visual impact. Traces of ancient pigments derived from minerals and plants can still occasionally be found, offering a glimpse into their original grandeur. The themes embedded within this monumental art almost invariably reinforce the intertwined nature of royal authority and the sacred. Rulers are frequently depicted as divine intermediaries, interacting with gods or ancestors, performing bloodletting rituals, or transforming into supernatural beings. These stone narratives serve to solidify the power of the Kuhul Ajal, Divine Lord, and to communicate the cosmic order to the populace. The stone carvers, therefore, were not just artists. They were essential propagandists and historians, their symphony in stone echoing across millennia, preserving the secrets of a lost empire. While the stone carvers etched the stories of Maya power and prestige, a far more fundamental challenge shaped the daily realities and ultimate fate of their civilization: the precarious balance of water. Despite thriving in a tropical rainforest, much of the Maya heartland, particularly in the Yucatan Peninsula and the southern lowlands, faced a seasonal dichotomy of torrential rains and severe dry spells. Their survival hinged on sophisticated water management systems, a constant struggle against both deluge and drought. The geological conditions of the Maya lowlands presented unique challenges. The porous limestone bedrock of the Yucatan meant that surface rivers were scarce. Rainfall quickly seeped into underground aquifers, forming cenotes. While cenotes provided reliable water sources in some regions, many inland cities were not so fortunate. Consequently, the Maya developed ingenious engineering solutions to capture, store, and manage precious rainwater. This burden of water management was not merely a convenience. It was a matter of life and death for densely populated urban centers. Archaeological investigations have revealed extensive water infrastructure across many classic Maya sites. At Tikal, one of the largest Maya cities, a vast network of reservoirs and channels collected rainwater from plazas and rooftops. The largest of these, the Palace Reservoir, held an estimated 58 million litres of water, sufficient to sustain thousands of inhabitants through prolonged dry seasons. Sophisticated filtration systems, likely employing sand and gravel, ensured water quality. At Palenque, as we saw in Chapter 1, the Ochulam River was channeled through vaulted aqueducts to prevent erosion and provide controlled access. Even smaller residential groups often had their own elaborate cisterns and catchment basins. The dry season could last for months, from January to May, and a slight deviation in the annual rainfall could have catastrophic consequences. Droughts led to crop failures, famine, and increased competition for resources, contributing to social unrest and political instability. The god Chak, the Maya rain deity, was consequently one of the most important figures in their pantheon, the recipient of fervent prayers and, as explored in Chapter 2, even human sacrifices in times of extreme need. Their monumental architecture was often designed to maximize water collection, transforming the very urban landscape into a vast hydrological system. The presence of monumental reservoirs, dams, and carefully engineered canals underscores the critical role that water management played in the success, and ultimately, the vulnerability of the classic Maya civilization. Their ingenious adaptation to a rain-dependent world allowed them to flourish for centuries, but also left them exposed to the long-term climatic shifts that would eventually contribute to their decline. From the vast hydrological systems that sustained Maya cities, we narrow our focus now to the most fundamental unit of their society, the family and its central dwelling, the humble Maya home. While pyramids and palaces dominate our imagination, the lives of the vast majority of Maya people revolved around their households, where the hearth's warmth fostered family bonds, sustained daily life, and served as a microcosmos reflecting broader societal values. The domestic sphere, often overlooked in the grand narratives of kings and gods, was the true bedrock of Maya civilization. Archaeological excavations of residential compounds, particularly in sites like Terén, El Salvador, preserved beneath volcanic ash, offer unparalleled insights into ancient Maya homes. Most commoner dwellings were constructed from perishable materials, wooden poles, wattle and daub walls, a mix of mud and organic fibers, and thatched roofs, all derived from the surrounding forest, showcasing the Maya's deep connection to their environment. These structures, typically rectangular or oval, rarely housed single families, but were often grouped around a central courtyard, forming extended family compounds. These residential groups were designed to accommodate multiple generations and ensure communal effort in daily tasks. Elite residences, while larger and constructed with more durable stone, still maintained this courtyard-based layout, emphasizing community and shared space. The hearth, usually a simple arrangement of 3 stones, held profound significance. It was the center of food preparation, where maize was ground into masa, dough, on metates, and then cooked into tortillas, the staple of the Maya diet. The smoke from the hearth also served a practical purpose, repelling insects and preserving roofing materials. Beyond its utilitarian function, the hearth was a spiritual focal point, representing the continuity of the family line and the warmth of home. Burials beneath house floors were common, connecting the living directly to their ancestors and reinforcing the intergenerational bond. Evidence from these grave sites reveals a diet largely dependent on maize, beans, and squash, supplemented by wild game and plants directly related to the foraging and agroforestry practices discussed in Chapter 5. Life in a Maya household was characterized by a clear division of labor, yet also by collaborative effort. Women managed the household, prepared food, raised children, and wove textiles, often teaching their daughters these skills from a young age, as explored in Chapter 8. Men engaged in agriculture, hunting, construction, and craft production, passing on their knowledge to their sons. This cooperative structure ensured efficiency and mutual support, vital for survival in a complex environment. The sacred home, therefore, was not just a shelter. It was the primary school, the economic unit, and the spiritual heart of Maya society, where traditions were upheld, new generations nurtured, and the enduring strength of the Maya people was forged. Within the warmth of the Maya home, where daily life unfolded around the sacred hearth, another profound aspect of their society anchored their civilization: the veneration of elders and the meticulous transmission of wisdom across generations. In a largely oral culture, before the widespread use of written codices outside of the elite, the knowledge of the past, the intricacies of ritual, and the practicalities of survival were held in the memories and experiences of the elders, their voices echoing through the communal spaces, shaping the beliefs and practices of the young. The Maya held their elders in high esteem, recognizing their accumulated wisdom as vital for the community's well-being. Elders played crucial roles in advising rulers, arbitrating disputes, overseeing ceremonies, and interpreting omens. Their long lives were seen as a testament to their connection with the ancestral realm and their deep understanding of the natural world. Iconography frequently depicts aged figures, often associated with wisdom deities or ancestral spirits, emphasizing their revered status. Skeletal remains from ancient Maya burials occasionally show evidence of age-related conditions, indicating that individuals lived to advanced ages and were cared for by their communities, underscoring the social value placed on longevity. The transmission of knowledge was a continuous, immersive process. As we explored in Chapter 8, children learned through observation and active participation in daily tasks, guided by their parents and grandparents. This practical education was supplemented by rich oral traditions. Stories, myths, and legends were recounted around the hearth at night, instilling cultural values, moral lessons, and historical memory. The Popol Vuh, the sacred book of the Quiché Maya, though recorded in the post-conquest era, is believed to derive from a long tradition of oral storytelling, recounting the creation myth, the feats of the hero twins, and the genealogies of their people. This emphasizes the importance placed on ancestral narratives. Elders also served as crucial repositories of specialized knowledge. They possessed a deep understanding of ethnobotany, the medicinal properties of plants, as explored in Chapter 5, the precise timing for planting and harvesting, the subtle signs of changing weather patterns. They remembered the complex astronomical observations that underpinned the Maya calendar, Chapter 6, guiding the community's agricultural and ritual cycles. The wisdom passed down orally through apprenticeships and ceremony was the living library of the Maya, ensuring the continuity of their complex civilization. Thus, within each Maya home and village, the echoes of the elders were not nostalgic whispers, but vital instructions, binding the past to the present and providing the enduring cultural framework that allowed the secrets of the lost empire to persevere through dramatic shifts and indeed into the modern day. Leaving the intimate world of the Maya home and the transmitted wisdom of its elders, we step back into the vast, dominant presence that enveloped their civilization, the untamed jungle. This dense, vibrant ecosystem was more than just a resource. It was a character in the Maya story, dictating much of their daily existence, influencing their cosmology, and providing a constant, palpable soundscape unique to their world. Among these sounds, none was more resonant, more evocative of the wild heart of the Maya lands than the powerful guttural cry of the howler monkey. The howler monkey, Aloata caraya and A. palliata, being common species in the Maya region, is famed for its incredibly loud vocalizations, capable of traveling up to 3 miles through dense forest. These roars, deep and resonant, are not merely territorial calls. They weave into the very fabric of the jungle, marking dawn and dusk, signaling the approach of weather systems and echoing through the ruins of ancient cities. For the Maya, the howler monkey was a significant creature, often depicted in art and associated with deities and scribal arts. In the Popol Vuh, the creation myth of the Quiche Maya, the howler monkey gods are patrons of art, music, and writing, reflecting the animal's vocal prowess and intelligence. The jungle itself was a complex symphony of life. Beyond the howlers, the chirps and songs of countless bird species, the buzzing of insects, the rustling of unseen creatures in the undergrowth, and the occasional squawk of a macaw contributed to the constant ambient noise. This auditory environment shaped the Maya experience. Living in close proximity to such a vibrant natural world meant constant awareness of its rhythms and its inhabitants. Archaeological evidence suggests that even within bustling city centers, the sounds of the jungle were never far removed. Elite palaces and civic centers, while grand, were ultimately carved out of and surrounded by the forest. This untamed environment also presented enduring challenges. The rapid growth of vegetation meant constant clearing to maintain urban spaces and agricultural fields. Dangerous animals, from jaguars and snakes to venomous insects, were a constant presence. Yet, the jungle was also a source of immeasurable wealth, harboring the medicinal plants, food sources, and building materials we have discussed. The sounds of the jungle, therefore, were a mixed chorus of life and potential peril, a constant reminder of the thin line between civilization and wilderness that the Maya meticulously navigated. The howler's cry, echoing through the majestic ruins, serves as a powerful connection to the ancient past, a living link to the vibrant, untamed world that was both home and spiritual guide to the Maya civilization for millennia. It is a haunting, timeless sound, underscoring the deep symbiosis between humanity and nature that defined one of history's most enigmatic empires. From the pervasive sounds of the jungle, dominated by the howler's cry, we now turn our attention to its most enigmatic and powerful inhabitant, a creature that embodied both fear and reverence for the ancient Maya. The jaguar, the silent, dappled hunter of the rainforest, Panthera onca, cast a long shadow over Maya cosmology, politics, and art, its presence weaving through every layer of their civilization. More than just an apex predator, the jaguar was a potent symbol of power, transformation, and the mysterious forces of the underworld. The Maya lived in intimate proximity to jaguars. These powerful cats, perfectly adapted to the dense jungle, are formidable hunters, capable of taking down prey much larger than themselves. For the ancient Maya, encountering a jaguar in the wild would have been a profoundly spiritual, often terrifying experience. This awe and fear translated directly into their religious beliefs. The jaguar was intimately associated with the underworld, Xibalba, often depicted as emerging from or residing in caves and other entrances to this shadowy realm. Its nocturnal hunting habits reinforced its ties to darkness and the hidden forces of the night. Maya rulers, the Kuhul Ajo, frequently appropriated jaguar imagery to legitimize their authority and project an aura of strength and ferocity. Royal names often incorporated jaguar glyphs, such as Kainich Yaks Kuk Mo, Great Sun Quetzalcoatl, the founder of the Copan dynasty, whose name also evokes powerful animals. Rulers wore elaborate jaguar pelts and headdresses during ceremonies of war and accession, embodying the animal's predatory prowess and its connection to the underworld. The jaguar paw motif is particularly prevalent in classic Maya art, representing the ruler's ability to command power and enforce order, both earthly and spiritual. Stucco masks at sites like El Mirador depict massive jaguar heads, serving as guardians of monumental pyramids. The shaman, as discussed in Chapter 6, also drew upon the jaguar's transformative power. During trance states, the Wayob or spirit companions of shamans and rulers were often depicted as jaguars, signifying their ability to travel between worlds and harness supernatural forces. Ceramic vessels and carved panels frequently show anthropomorphic jaguars, sometimes smoking or engaged in ritual acts, blurring the lines between human and animal, material and spiritual. The formidable qualities of the jaguar, its strength, stealth, and supernatural associations, made it an unparalleled symbol. The jaguar's shadow, both literal and metaphorical, profoundly influenced the Maya's perception of power, the divine, and their own place within the wild, living cosmos. Its enduring presence underscores the deep respect and profound connection the Maya maintained with the natural world that surrounded them. From the fearsome shadow of the jaguar, a creature embodying power and the underworld, we shift to a more benign yet infinitely powerful force that nourished and sustained the entire Maya civilization. Maize. More than merely a crop, maize, Zea maize, was the staff of life, an ancient grain that held profound spiritual, cultural, and economic significance. Its successful cultivation was so central that it shaped religious beliefs, astronomical observations, and agricultural practices, becoming inextricably linked to the very identity of the Maya people. The story of Maya maize begins millennia ago, with its domestication from its wild ancestor, Teosinte, in the highlands of Mexico. Over thousands of years, through careful selection and cultivation, Maya farmers transformed this humble grass into the robust, highly productive crop we know today. Archaeological evidence, such as ancient pollen grains and carbonized kernels, testifies to its presence in Maya diets as early as 2500 BCE, becoming the primary caloric source for millions across Mesoamerica. The Maya cultivated maize using a system known as milpa, a form of swidden or slash and burn agriculture combined with sophisticated agroforestry techniques. This method, while requiring significant land, allowed for intercropping of beans, which fixed nitrogen in the soil, and squash, which provided ground cover, reducing weeds and retaining moisture, creating a balanced and sustainable ecosystem. Maize was elevated to a sacred status, personified as the youthful maize god, Yum Kaax. The Popol Vuh, the sacred creation narrative of the Quiché Maya, recounts how humanity itself was fashioned from a dough of white and yellow maize, establishing a deep, immutable connection between the people and the plant. Depictions of the maize god appear frequently in Maya art, often shown with an elongated head symbolizing a maize ear, and a headdress of green maize leaves, emphasizing his role in life, fertility, and rebirth. Rulers often sought to align themselves with the maize god, performing rituals to ensure abundant harvests and maintaining the cosmic order that facilitated agricultural success. The complex astronomical observations and intricate calendar systems of the Maya, as discussed in Chapter 6, were deeply aligned with the agricultural cycle of maize. Predicting seasons, rainfall patterns, and celestial alignments was crucial for determining the optimal times for planting, nurturing, and harvesting. From the humble corn kernel to the towering pyramids, maize permeated every aspect of Maya existence. It fueled their cities, fed their armies, sustained their families, and formed the very core of their spiritual identity. The taste of maize was, for the Maya, quite literally the taste of life, a constant reminder of their dependence on the earth and the gods who granted its bounty, and a vision of the future rooted in their sacred connection to this extraordinary grain. From the life-giving maize that nourished Maya bodies and souls, we turn to another form of creation, one that sculpted their beliefs and history into tangible forms, the sculptor's vision. Maya art was never merely decorative. It was imbued with profound purpose, each carving, painting, or ceramic piece serving both form and function within their complex societal and spiritual structures. It was a sophisticated visual language, transmitting information and reinforcing cosmic order. The interconnectedness of Maya art with its purpose is a defining characteristic. Monumental sculpture such as stelae and altars that we explored in Chapter 9 served as public chronicles, solidifying the legitimacy of rulers and documenting historical events. These were not simply statues. They were meticulously dated historical records, designed to be interacted with visually and ritually. The elaborate headdresses and regalia depicted on these figures were not fanciful adornments, but accurate representations of power and status, reflective of the featherwork we previously discussed. Even architectural elements, like the massive stucco masks at Zibil Chaltun or El Mirador, were functional art, often depicting deities or ancestors, serving as guardians or focal points for ritual. Beyond monumental works, the Maya expressed their artistic vision across a wide range of media, each serving distinct functions. Ceramic vessels, as highlighted in Chapter 8, range from utilitarian pots to exquisite polychrome cylinders that narrated mythological tales or depicted courtly scenes. These functional objects elevated the mundane into the sacred, making everyday activities, such as drinking cacao, a ritualistic experience. Jade carvings, often reserved for the elite, took the form of celts, beads, and ear flares, serving as powerful symbols of status, wealth, and connection to the sacred blue-green underworld. Even humble flint or chert, meticulously knapped into eccentric forms, served as ceremonial blades or scepters, their intricate, non-utilitarian shapes indicating their ritual importance. The recurring motifs and symbolism in Maya art underscore its didactic and communal function. The maize god, the hero twins, the feathered serpent Kukulkan, and various jaguars and birds appear consistently across different mediums and sites, reinforcing shared religious beliefs and a collective cultural identity. The iconography often conveyed narratives from the Popol Vuh or other creation myths, educating the populace and reminding them of their place within the cosmic order. The sculptor's vision, therefore, was not an isolated artistic endeavor. It was a societal undertaking, a collaborative effort often overseen by the scribal class to ensure that every stroke of a brush or chisel communicated a precise message. It shaped not just aesthetic appreciation, but spiritual understanding, political legitimacy, and historical memory, solidifying the Maya worldview in tangible, enduring forms. From the monumental sculptures that declared royal power and the intricate pottery that narrated myths, we now explore a more personal, yet equally profound form of Maya art, the living canvas of the human body. Beyond the elaborate textiles and featherwork, the Maya adorned themselves with permanent markings that spoke volumes about their identity, social status, and devotion to the gods. Body modification, including tattooing, piercing, and cranial deformation, was a widespread and deeply significant practice throughout ancient Mesoamerica, nowhere more meticulously applied than among the Maya. Imagine the tattooist's sting, a process both painful and transformative. While direct archaeological evidence of Maya tattoos is scarce due to the perishable nature of human skin, colonial-era accounts and abundant iconography provide strong indicators of their prevalence. Spanish chroniclers like Bishop Diego de Landa, despite their efforts to suppress indigenous practices, documented the Mayas' extensive use of tattooing, describing complex designs covering the entire body. These tattoos were not random marks. They were intricate symbols and narratives, often depicting deities, animals, geometric patterns or glyphs, each carrying specific meaning. Tattoos marked an individual's journey through life, signifying rites of passage, achievements, and affiliations. They could denote social rank, profession, such as warrior or priest, or lineage. For a warrior, a specific tattoo might commemorate a battle won or a captive taken. Much like the obsidian blades used in combat, Chapter 3, would leave their mark. For a devotee, a tattoo might represent a lifelong commitment to a particular deity, a permanent prayer etched onto the skin. The more extensive and complex the tattooing, the greater the individual's status or devotion, suggesting that the endured pain was itself a form of sacrifice and proof of commitment. Beyond tattooing, other forms of body modification were common. Piercings of the ears, nose, and lips with elaborate jade, bone, or shell ornaments were prominent among the elite, expanding the visual canvas of the face. Cranial deformation, where infants' skulls were intentionally reshaped using headboards, was widely practiced, particularly within aristocratic families. This created an elongated, flattened forehead, considered a mark of beauty and nobility, perhaps even mimicking the iconic shape of the maize god's head, Chapter 12. The Maya took immense care in shaping their physical appearance, not out of mere vanity, but to publicly declare their identity, their place in society, and their sacred connection to their ancestors and gods. The tattooist's sting, therefore, was not just about aesthetics. It was about etching one's narrative onto the most intimate canvas, a permanent testament to who they were and what they believed. From the highly visible, indelible marks etched upon living skin, we journey now into the solemn and concealed realms beneath the great Maya pyramids, where the secrets of the dead reveal much about the lives and beliefs of the living. Burial practices among the Maya were diverse and deeply meaningful, reflecting social hierarchies, religious convictions about the afterlife, and the enduring connection between ancestors and descendants. Unearthing these ancient tombs offers an unparalleled glimpse into Maya cosmology and spiritual journeys beyond the mortal coil. The Maya believed in a complex afterlife, a multi-layered underworld known as Xibalba, ruled by the lords of death. Death was not seen as an end, but as a transition, a journey that required careful preparation. For commoners, burials were often simpler, sometimes beneath their residential structures, connecting them physically and spiritually to the family's hearth and lineage, as discussed in Chapter 10. Grave goods might include basic pottery, tools, or personal ornaments. However, for the elite, kings, queens, and high-ranking priests, funerary rituals and burial chambers were elaborate affairs designed to ensure a successful transition into the afterlife and to solidify their posthumous power. The most spectacular burials are found beneath the massive pyramids and temples that dominate Maya cities. The discovery of Pakal the Great's tomb within the Temple of the Inscriptions at Palenque, Chapter 1, in 1952, revolutionized our understanding of Maya funerary practices. His sarcophagus was a monumental limestone block, its lid intricately carved with his descent into the underworld. He was adorned with jade, symbolizing maize and rebirth, and a mosaic jade mask covered his face. Inside the tomb, a psychoduct, a hollow tube, connected the burial chamber to the temple above, believed to allow Pakal's spirit to communicate with the living. This meticulous attention to royal burials underscores the belief that powerful ancestors continue to influence the world of the living, acting as intermediaries between humans and the divine. Further examples corroborate this. At Copan, the tomb of ruler Kinich Yaks Kuk Mo revealed rich offerings, including shell, jade, and obsidian, indicating his immense status. At Calakmul, a royal tomb contained the remains of a ruler surrounded by hundreds of jade beads and shell ornaments. These burial complexes were not mere graves. They were carefully engineered gateways to the underworld, designed to protect and honor the deceased, ensuring their successful transformation into ancestral deities. The elaborate arrangement of grave goods, pottery, precious stones, personal effects, and even sacrificial offerings reflects the deceased's social standing and the perceived necessities for their journey. Through the deliberate placement of these artifacts, the Maya communicated their deepest convictions about life, death, and the eternal cycle of creation and renewal, revealing that even in death, the secrets of their empire continue to unfold. From the solemn chambers that cradled the Maya dead, we emerge now to explore how the living confronted mortal ills, not just through ritual and spiritual intervention, but with a profound and empirical knowledge of healing. The Maya developed a sophisticated system of medicine, blending spiritual beliefs with an extensive pharmacopoeia, derived from the rich biodiversity of their rainforest environment. The healer, or Amen, was a central figure, entrusted with preserving life and restoring balance to the body and spirit. The Maya understood illness not just as a physical affliction, but often as a spiritual imbalance, a consequence of cosmic disharmony, or a transgression against deities or ancestors. Therefore, their healing practices integrated prayer, divination, often aided by shamans, as discussed in Chapter 6, and ritual purification alongside precise herbal remedies. Bone analysis from ancient Maya remains indicates they practiced intricate surgical procedures such as trepanation, drilling holes in the skull to relieve pressure or treat head trauma, with demonstrable success in some cases. Evidence also suggests advanced dental practices, including the use of jade and pyrite inlays for aesthetic purposes and shell or stone prosthetics. The Maya pharmacopoeia, as we touched upon in Chapter 5, was vast and highly effective. Healers utilized thousands of plant species, understanding their specific properties through centuries of observation and experimentation. For example, antispasmodics derived from certain leaves were used to treat gastrointestinal complaints. Febrifuges from barks like cinchona reduced fevers, and topical poultices made from various plants were applied to wounds, leveraging their antiseptic and anti-inflammatory properties. The precise formulations and applications were often closely guarded knowledge, passed down through generations within healing lineages. Modern ethnobotanical research continues to explore and validate the medicinal properties of many plants still used by contemporary Maya healers, underscoring the ancient system's enduring efficacy. Healing spaces were often specialized. Some rituals took place in dark caves or cenotes, echoing the spiritual cleansing power of water, or in sacred buildings. Archaeological evidence of sweat baths, constructed from stone and associated with specific temple complexes, suggests their use in therapeutic and ritual purification. These steam baths were believed to cleanse both the body and soul, promoting healing and preparing individuals for ceremonial activities. The healer's touch, therefore, was a holistic one, encompassing physical treatment, spiritual guidance, and a deep, empathetic connection to the patient's entire being. It speaks to a profound respect for life and an intelligent, systematic approach to health that was intricately woven into the very fabric of Maya society, a testament to their enduring quest for balance in a complex world. From the localized practices of Mayan healing, reflecting a profound connection to their immediate environment, we now span across the vast landscape of their civilization, tracing the intricate pathways that connected disparate city-states. While the Maya were often characterized by their independent polities, they were far from isolated. A sophisticated network of communication and transportation, often described as the road less traveled by modern eyes, facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and even diplomatic and military personnel across the entire Maya lowlands, shaping their shared cultural identity and political dynamics. The primary arteries of Maya transportation were not paved highways as we know them, but a combination of natural waterways and meticulously constructed causeways known as Sacbiob, singular, Sacbi, meaning white road in Yucatec Maya. Rivers like the Usumacinta and Pasion provided natural highways, allowing canoes to transport bulk goods over hundreds of kilometers. Archaeological evidence, in the form of port sites and riverine settlements, confirms the extensive use of these water routes for commerce and communication, particularly for heavy commodities like salt, obsidian, and large stones. When water routes were unavailable, the Maya relied on their impressive network of Sacbiob. These raised limestone roads, often radiating outwards from major urban centers like Koba and Yaxuna, were not merely footpaths. They were meticulously engineered structures, sometimes several meters wide and elevated above the surrounding terrain, designed to facilitate travel during the rainy season and possibly for ceremonial processions. The longest known Sacbi connects Koba to Yaxuna, stretching an astonishing 100 kilometers 62 miles. While not universally paved, many Sakbiob featured a compacted limestone surface, providing a clear and reliable path through the dense jungle. These roads were vital for trade, as highlighted in Chapter 7, allowing specialized goods to travel between different ecological zones and stimulating economic interdependence. Beyond trade, these ancient roads facilitated diplomatic missions, allowing rulers and ambassadors to travel between allied or rival city-states. Messenger services, likely utilizing skilled runners, would have maintained vital communication lines, sharing news, decrees, or intelligence. During times of conflict, Sakbiob could also have served as strategic military routes, enabling the swift movement of warriors. The sheer effort required to construct and maintain these extensive networks without beasts of burden or wheeled transport speaks volumes about the value the Maya placed on connectivity. The road less traveled was, for the Maya, a fundamental component of their civilization, a testament to their enduring ingenuity and their ability to effectively manage vast territories. These ancient paths were the silent veins of their empire, carrying the lifeblood of communication and cultural exchange, linking communities into a vibrant, interconnected whole. From the ancient pathways connecting city-states, we arrive at the vibrant nexus where those paths converged, the bustling Maya marketplace. This was the beating pulse of Maya economic life, a sensory explosion of sights, sounds, and smells, where goods from distant lands met the produce of local fields. Far from a simple exchange of goods, the market was a dynamic social institution, a powerful unifier, and a clear demonstration of the interconnectedness of their civilization. Imagine the chaotic order of a classic Maya market, known as a cabal. Merchants and producers, each vying for attention, presented their wares on woven mats or simple wooden stands. The cacophony of bartering voices, the rustle of straw baskets, and the continuous flow of people would have created an immersive experience. While major city-states like Tikal, Calakmul, or Chichen Itza would have hosted grand, specialized markets, even smaller towns had their own designated areas for commerce, forming a hierarchical system of exchange. The Maya economic system was largely based on barter, a direct exchange of goods and services. A farmer might trade his surplus maize for pottery from an artisan, or a basket weaver might exchange her finished goods for cacao beans. However, certain high-value commodities, particularly cacao beans, as we explored in Chapter 2, and to a lesser extent, finely woven cotton cloaks or obsidian blades, sometimes functioned as a form of proto-currency, acting as a medium of exchange due to their widespread demand and intrinsic value. This facilitated larger transactions and simplified trade across different production zones. The range of goods exchanged was astonishingly diverse, reflecting the specialized production of different ecological regions. From the coastal regions came dried fish, salt, Chapter 7, and marine shells. From the rich agricultural lowlands, maize, Chapter 12, beans, squash, and cotton. Highland regions supplied obsidian, Chapter 3, for tools and weaponry, jade for luxury ornaments, and precious quetzal feathers, Chapter 7, for elite regalia. Even exotic animals, such as parrots and monkeys, intended for ceremonial purposes or as pets, would have found their way into these vibrant markets. Archaeological evidence, such as the distribution of specific pottery styles or obsidian hydration analysis, vividly traces these trade routes and highlights the interdependency of Maya city-states. Beyond its economic function, the market served as a crucial social and informational hub. It was a place for gossip and news, for meeting kin from distant villages, and for displaying status through costume and adornment. It brought together all strata of Maya society, from the lowest commoner to the highest noble, all participating in the intricate dance of supply and demand. The market's pulse, therefore, was not just about commerce. It was about the very lifeblood of Maya society, a constant affirmation of their complex social contract and their remarkable ability to organize, specialize, and thrive through intricate systems of exchange. From the cacophony of the market, where human ingenuity spurred economic life, we now pivot to a more profound and often somber aspect of Maya existence, the sacred necessity of sacrifice. For the ancient Maya, the universe was a dynamic, cyclical system powered by divine energy. Human actions, particularly through ritualized offerings and sacrifice, were essential to maintain this delicate balance, to nourish the gods, and to ensure the continuous cycle of creation and destruction. The scent of sacrifice permeated their spiritual landscape, a constant reminder of their reciprocal relationship with the divine. Offerings varied widely based on context, deity, and desired outcome. At its most common, offerings consisted of incense, particularly copal resin, chapter 5, foodstuffs like maize and cacao, chapter 12, chapter 2, flowers, and precious goods such as jade, shell, and elaborate pottery, chapter 8. These were carefully placed in caches beneath stelae, within temple foundations, or cast into sacred cenotes, chapter 2, acting as payments or gifts to secure divine favor for harvest, rain, or successful endeavors. The act of offering was a profound one, a formal communication with the spiritual world. However, the most potent and direct offering the Maya believed they could make was blood, the very essence of life. Bloodletting rituals, performed by rulers and high-ranking priests, were central to Maya religious practice. Using stingray spines, obsidian blades, or other sharp implements, individuals would pierce their tongues, ears, or genitalia, collecting the blood on paper, which was then burned. The rising smoke carried the offering to the gods, and the self-induced pain, often combined with hallucinogens, chapter 6, was believed to induce visions, allowing communication with ancestors and deities. Iconography on lintels from Yaxchilan, for example, vividly depicts Lady Zok pulling a rope embedded with obsidian blades through her tongue, initiating a vision serpent to communicate with her ancestors. Human sacrifice, while less frequent than bloodletting, was nevertheless a significant component of Maya ritual, particularly in the late classic and post-classic periods. Victims, often captured warriors from defeated city-states, chapter 3, were offered to specific deities to mark significant events like the dedication of a new temple, a royal accession, or to appeal for rain during severe drought. The sacred cenote at Chichen Itza provides stark archaeological evidence of such practices. The precise methods varied, including decapitation, heart extraction, or being thrown into the cenote. Death on the ball court, as discussed in chapter 4, also carried sacrificial implications. These acts, though violent to modern sensibilities, were understood by the Maya as necessary, a sacred duty to reciprocate the god's gift of creation and sustenance, vital for the ongoing renewal of the cosmos. The scent of sacrifice, therefore, was the perfume of their faith, a testament to their unwavering belief in the reciprocal covenant between humanity and the divine forces that govern their world. From the potent scent of sacrifice, a desperate plea to the gods for cosmic order, we now turn to one of the most profound and ultimately debilitating challenges faced by the classic Maya, the insidious creep of environmental change. Their world, built upon a sophisticated understanding of rainfall and hydrology, was acutely sensitive to climatic shifts, and as centuries of prosperity waned, the slow, silent struggle against drought began to define their existence, contributing to the unraveling of their majestic civilization. The Maya lowlands, especially the Yucatan Peninsula, are characterized by a distinct wet and dry season, making reliable water access foundational to their survival. As explored in Chapter 9, the Maya invested vast resources in complex water management systems, reservoirs, canals, and terracing to mitigate the effects of prolonged dry spells. These systems allowed large urban populations to flourish for centuries, even in regions far from permanent rivers. However, these systems were designed to cope with normal seasonal variations, not prolonged multi-decadal droughts. Paleoclimatology, the study of past climates, has in recent decades provided compelling evidence for a series of severe and sustained droughts during the classic Maya collapse period, roughly 800 to 1100 CE. Scientists analyze lakebed sediments, stalagmites from caves, and oxygen isotope ratios in ancient shells to reconstruct rainfall patterns. Studies from lakes like Punta Laguna and Lake Chichen Itza in the Yucatan consistently show significant reductions in precipitation during this period, with some estimates suggesting annual rainfall decreased by as much as 50–70% at peak drought intensity. These were not short-term dry spells, but multi-year, even multi-decade events. The impact of such prolonged drought would have been catastrophic. Maize, the staff of life, Chapter 12, would have failed repeatedly, leading to widespread famine and malnutrition. Water scarcity would have triggered mass migrations to regions with more reliable sources, putting immense strain on existing communities. The intricate trade networks, Chapter 7, would have broken down as cities prioritized local survival over long-distance exchange. The authority of rulers, who often claimed divine connections to rain deities like Chak, Chapter 2, would have eroded as their prayers and sacrifices proved increasingly ineffective against the unrelenting drought. This breakdown of the socio-political fabric, exacerbated by resource competition and warfare, would have created a vicious cycle of decline. Archaeological records align with this climatic evidence, showing a dramatic cessation of monument construction and a decline in population around the same time as the most severe droughts. While no single factor explains the complex phenomenon of the classic Maya collapse, the overwhelming paleoclimatic data points to environmental stress, particularly the protracted drought's embrace, as a major contributing factor. It was a slow, silent struggle against an invisible enemy, a relentless force that gradually choked the life out of a once thriving civilization, leaving its grand stone cities to be reclaimed by the very jungle that had once sustained them. While the harsh realities of drought presented an existential threat, the Maya found powerful solace and continuity in another fundamental human endeavor: storytelling. Around the flickering light of the communal fire, as shadows danced on thatched walls, myths and legends were spun, weaving together the fabric of their identity, preserving their worldview, and connecting generations through shared narratives. This oral tradition, the power of storytelling, was as vital to their survival as maize and water, offering intellectual and spiritual sustenance through times of plenty and hardship alike. The most celebrated repository of Maya myths is the Popol Vuh, the sacred book of the Quiché Maya. Though written down in the mid-16th century, it is explicitly stated to derive from an ancient oral tradition, describing the creation of the world, the adventures of the hero twins, and the genealogies of the Kishi royal lines. These stories were not mere entertainment. They were explanations of the cosmos, blueprints for moral conduct, and affirmations of ethnic and theological identity. The creation of humans from maize dough, as detailed in the Popol Vuh, chapter 12, illustrates the profound connection between the people and their staple crop. Consider the atmosphere around a Maya fire, the crackling of wood, the glow on expectant faces, the storyteller's rhythmic voice painting vivid images with words. These narratives transmitted complex astronomical knowledge, the cycles of time as charted in their calendars, chapter 6, the characteristics of their gods, and the lessons learned from their ancestors. Elders, as discussed in chapter 10, were the primary custodians of these stories, their voices carrying the accumulated wisdom of centuries. Children, in turn, internalize these tales, learning their history, their place in the universe, and the proper conduct expected of them within their communities. Beyond grand creation myths, countless smaller allegories and folk tales guided daily life, teaching practical lessons about respecting the land, living in harmony with nature, and navigating social relationships. The characters appearing in these tales, frequently animals from the surrounding jungle like the jaguar, chapter 11, or the howler monkey, chapter 11, often embodied specific traits or served as intermediaries between the human and spirit worlds. These stories transformed the natural world from a neutral backdrop into a landscape rich with meaning and agency. Even in times of profound crisis, such as the prolonged droughts that contributed to the classic Maya collapse, storytelling offered a powerful means of cultural resilience. It allowed communities to interpret their suffering within a cosmological framework, reinforced collective identity amidst dispersal, and preserved hope for eventual renewal, aligning with their cyclical view of time. The power of storytelling around the fire was, and remains, a testament to the enduring human need to make sense of the world, to connect with the past, and to envision a future, even when facing the seemingly insurmountable challenges of an untamed and changing environment. These whispered tales ensured that, despite the vicissitudes of history, the spirit of the Maya would never truly vanish. From the comforting narratives around the fire, offering solace and continuity, we now shift our attention to a more jarring and unsettling sound, one that heralded disruption and demanded an unflinching reckoning: the distinct, resonant call to arms. The Maya were not only builders, astronomers, and artists, but also fierce warriors. And as their civilization flourished and faced the challenges of growth and environmental stress, conflict between city-states became a pervasive reality, often announced dramatically by the deep pulse of drums and the piercing, mournful blare of conch shell trumpets. The soundscape of Maya warfare was deliberately intense and terrifying. Drums made from hollowed-out tree trunks or ceramic vessels covered with animal skins provided a rhythmic, pounding background, meant to intimidate enemies and galvanize their own forces. The conch shell trumpet, particularly that of the queen conch, Labatas gigas, produced a haunting, resonant sound when blown through its apex. These instruments were not merely for signaling. They were powerful psychological weapons, capable of creating a cacophony of sound designed to disorient and instill fear in the opposition. Iconography from sites like Bonampak and Yaxchilan frequently depicts warriors and musicians carrying these instruments into battle, capturing the audible chaos of Maya warfare. Maya warfare, as previously discussed in Chapter 3 concerning obsidian weapons, was complex, driven by a combination of factors: control over trade routes, access to resources, dynastic rivalries, and the capture of elite prisoners for ritual sacrifice. The announcement of war, therefore, was a ritual in itself, often preceded by astrological readings, Chapter 6, and divine omens. The sound of drums echoing through the jungle would have signaled not just an impending conflict, but also the alignment of celestial forces, the will of the gods, and the unwavering resolve of a ruling Ajor. The impact of this audible spectacle was twofold. For the attacking force, it served as a unifying rallying cry, steeling their resolve before the clash. For the defenders, particularly those in smaller, less fortified settlements, the distant thrum of drums and the mournful wail of conchs would have been an ominous sign, a clear warning of imminent danger. Fortifications, such as moats and palisades, found around many Maya cities, provide tangible evidence of this constant threat of conflict. Even major centers like Tikal and Dos Pilas show signs of increasingly elaborate defensive structures, indicating a period of intense and sustained intercity warfare. The sound of war, carried on the tropical air, was a stark reminder of the fragile balance of power and alliances that characterized the classic Maya world. It was a tangible manifestation of a society built on ambition, spiritual conviction, and sometimes brutal necessity. These ancient sounds, preserved in the historical record and through archaeological contexts, bring us closer to understanding the lived experience of the Maya, revealing that even in their sophisticated civilization, the raw, primal call of conflict was an ever-present, defining feature of their dynamic and often turbulent existence. From the cacophony of drums and conch shells announcing war, we shift to a more chilling silence, one filled with dread and uncertainty. The fate of the captive. In the brutal realities of Maya warfare, defeat often meant not immediate death on the battlefield, but capture, a fate that carried complex implications of humiliation, ritual, and sometimes a grim hope for survival. The captive's hopes within Maya society offer a stark insight into the intertwined nature of politics, spirituality, and the ultimate display of power. Maya iconography, particularly on stelae, lintels, and painted ceramic vessels, vividly depicts the capture of enemies, often shown bound, naked, or with minimal clothing, and sometimes with ropes piercing their nasal septa or lower lips. Captives were presented as trophies, clear symbols of a ruler's prowess. The purpose of these depictions was not just to record a victory, but to publicly shame and dehumanize the conquered, validating the victor's divine right to rule. Hieroglyphic texts accompanying these images often name the captured lord and the date of his capture, reinforcing the historical significance of the event. For example, numerous monuments at Piedras Negras detail the capture of rulers from rival cities, underscoring the political importance of such achievements. The fate of captives varied considerably. The most prized, typically rival kings or high-ranking nobles, were often brought back to the conqueror's capital for public display and ritual activities. They would be paraded through the city, forced to participate in ceremonial dances, and sometimes tortured. The eventual culmination for many elite captives was ritual sacrifice, offered to the gods to commemorate a victory, dedicate a new temple, or ensure cosmic renewal, as explored in Chapter 15. These sacrifices were often intricately choreographed public rituals designed to awe and inspire both reverence and fear in the populace. Scenes of decapitation or heart extraction, as seen on the ball court reliefs at Chichen Itza, Chapter 4, further highlight the sacrificial dimension of capture. However, not all captives met such a grim end. For some, particularly those of lower rank or those skilled in craftsmanship, a form of servitude or even integration into the victorious society was possible. Such individuals might have joined labor forces, contributing to the monumental construction projects of their new overlords, or served as personal attendants within elite households. While their hopes for a return to their former lives were likely extinguished, the basic hope for survival in defeat remained. The concept of vassalage is also indicated in some texts, where a captured lord might be forced to swear fealty and provide tribute to his conqueror, retaining some degree of authority but under subjugation. The captive's existence, therefore, was a liminal one, poised between the terrifying certainty of ritual death and the uncertain possibility of a diminished survival, forever marked by the trauma of defeat. Their hopes, fragile as they were, illuminate the complex and often brutal political landscape of interacting Maya city-states. From the precarious existence of the captive, whose fate hung in the balance of a ruler's whim, we transition now to the very pinnacle of Maya society, the divine kings, and occasionally powerful queens whose reigns shape the destiny of entire city-states. The concept of royal legacy was paramount, for the legitimacy and stability of a Maya polity rested heavily on the unbroken, often divinely ordained succession of its rulers. Deciphered hieroglyphs, particularly on monumental stelae and temple panels, provide a detailed and often dramatic chronicle of these dynasties. Maya kings, known as Kuhul Ajau, Divine Lord, were considered sacred intermediaries between the human and supernatural worlds. Their power was not merely secular, it derived from their direct ancestral connection to deities and mythical founders. Accession to the throne was a profoundly sacred event, often marked by elaborate ceremonies involving bloodletting, Chapter 15, public appearances, and the erection of new monuments depicting the new ruler. These events were meticulously recorded, complete with precise long count dates, Chapter 6, solidifying the ruler's place in both linear history and cyclical time. Succession was typically patrilineal, passing from father to son. However, the dynastic records also reveal instances where queens or powerful noble women ascended to the throne, particularly during periods of conflict or when a male heir was too young. Lady Sixsky of Naranjo and Lady Kabul of El Peru Waka are notable examples of women who held significant political power, acting as regents or ruling in their own right. Their reigns are documented with the same monumental inscriptions, demonstrating complex gender roles within the Maya elite. The king's responsibilities were vast. He was the chief priest, performing critical rituals to nourish the gods and ensure cosmic order. He was the supreme military commander, leading his armies into battle, Chapter 17, and capturing rival lords to legitimize his power. He was the ultimate patron of the arts and sciences, commissioning the monumental architecture, the intricate stelae, Chapter 9, and the elaborate pottery, Chapter 8, that celebrated his reign and instructed his populace. His personal bloodline dictated his divine right, and extensive genealogical records, carved into stone and painted in codices, linked him directly to founding ancestors and powerful deities. The construction of monumental pyramids over previous royal tombs, Chapter 13, such as the Temple of the Inscriptions over Pakal's tomb at Palenque, further emphasized this concept of enduring royal legacy and continuity. Each new ruler physically built upon the foundation of their predecessors. reinforcing the unbroken chain of divine authority. The constant warfare between city-states was often a struggle for dynastic supremacy, with rulers seeking to erase the legacies of rivals and replace them with their own narratives of power. Thus, the succession of kings and queens was not merely a political transition. It was a deeply spiritual perpetuation of the very order of the Maya cosmos, a legacy carved in stone and etched into the collective memory of a civilization. From the assertion of royal legacy, meant to convey an eternal order, we arrive at the profound shifts that challenge such continuity, the portents and processes of decline. While generations of Maya rulers diligently built their empires, meticulously recording their triumphs, they also lived with the understanding that all things, even civilizations, are subject to cycles of transformation. For the Maya, the concept of final prophecy wasn't about a single cataclysmic ending, but an awareness of inevitable change, marked by omens both natural and political, hinting at the difficult future. The classic Maya collapse, a complex and protracted period primarily affecting the southern lowlands between 800 and 1100 CE, was not a singular event, but a multifaceted process. For many years, theories ranged from epidemic diseases to foreign invasion. However, a scientific consensus has increasingly emerged, pointing to a confluence of environmental and socio-political factors, many of which would have been recognized by the Maya themselves as omens. One of the most significant factors, as explored in Chapter 16, was severe environmental stress, specifically a series of prolonged and intense droughts, lake sediment cores and speleothems, cave formations, reveal that periods of dramatically reduced rainfall occurred precisely when many great cities began to depopulate and monumental construction ceased. For a civilization whose very existence depended on rain-fed agriculture and sophisticated water management, persistent drought would have been interpreted as divine displeasure, shaking the populace's faith in their rulers, who were supposed to be conduits to rain deities like Chak. Alongside environmental degradation, internal political strife escalated. The elaborate trade networks, Chapter 7, and alliances between city-states, vital for resource distribution and diplomatic stability, began to fragment. Evidence suggests increased competition and intense warfare, Chapter 17, over dwindling resources, leading to the abandonment of major trade routes and the collapse of interregional exchange. The constant pressure of tributary demands and the need for captive sacrifices, Chapter 15, likely exacerbated these tensions. The authority of the Kuhul Ajo, Chapter 18, once absolute, would have been challenged by these unmanageable crises, while the sophisticated calendar system, Chapter 6, allowed the Maya to record cycles of creation and destruction over vast spans of time. It also contained prophecies and predictions that could be interpreted as warnings. The ending of Khatun cycles, for instance, marked periods of transition, often associated with both renewal and potential upheaval. The omens were not literal predictions of a final destruction, but rather an awareness within their cyclical worldview that even the greatest empires had a lifespan, a cosmic journey of rise and fall. The final prophecy, therefore, was less about a specific date of doom and more about the gradual, observable signs of an impending, profound transformation. These were not the last days of the Maya people, but the end of a particular era, a testament to their deep understanding of impermanence, even amidst the monumental, enduring stone of their achievements. As the royal legacies fractured and the omens of decline became undeniable, The great cities of the southern Maya lowlands, once vibrant centers of power and innovation, began to empty, not with a sudden cataclysmic event, but through a slow, inexorable process of abandonment. And as human presence receded, the dominant force of the region, the jungle itself, began its relentless reclamation. Towering pyramids, intricate palaces and bustling plazas, once defying the tropical growth, were gradually consumed by a tide of green, becoming indistinguishable from the very wilderness from which they were carved. This process of reclamation is one of the most striking features of ancient Maya archaeology. Imagine the sight: a dense canopy of trees obscuring all but the highest temple tops, roots prying apart massive limestone blocks, and a thick carpet of vegetation blanketing entire structures. This natural process occurred over centuries, transforming once vibrant urban landscapes into what early explorers perceived as lost cities, swallowed whole by an indifferent nature. The very environment that had provided the Maya with their sustenance and building materials, Chapter 5, now became the agent of their monumental work's slow undoing. The primary drivers of this reclamation are the inherent characteristics of the Maya lowlands: abundant rainfall, rapid plant growth, and a climate that readily degrades organic materials. Tree roots, particularly from species like the tabor and strangler fig, exploit minute cracks in stucco and stone facades, gradually expanding them until entire sections of masonry are dislodged. The constant cycle of growth, decay, and new growth deposited layers of soil over structures, effectively burying them. This natural process played a crucial role in preserving some sites for centuries, shielding them from erosion and human disturbance until their rediscovery. For archaeologists, the jungle's embrace presents both a challenge and an opportunity. The dense vegetation makes surveying and excavation immensely difficult, with remote sensing technologies like LiDAR now proving invaluable for penetrating the canopy and revealing previously unknown urban sprawl. However, the organic layer also protects delicate artifacts and structural elements, allowing for their later, careful excavation. When Palenque was first rediscovered, Chapter 1, the Temple of the Inscriptions was little more than a mound overgrown with trees, its intricate architecture hidden beneath layers of earth and vegetation. The jungle reclaiming the Maya cities serves as a powerful metaphor for the cyclical nature of time and civilizations. Their grand monuments, designed to commemorate eternal dynasties, eventually yielded to the persistent power of the natural world. It underscores the Maya's own deep philosophical understanding of impermanence and the interconnectedness of all things. The silent green embrace of the jungle is not just an aesthetic curiosity. It is a testament to the colossal forces of nature, reminding us that even the most advanced human endeavors are transient in the face of geological time, and that the lost cities of the Maya are, in reality, simply returning to the earth that bore them. As the jungle's persistent embrace concealed the abandoned cities, a new era began, marked by echoes of absence. The vibrant pulse of urban life, the rhythmic chanting of ceremonies, the bustling trade of the market, and the constant chiseling of the stone carvers all faded into a haunting silence. What remained of this once great civilization, however, was not utter disappearance, but a profound transformation, leaving behind profound mysteries and an enduring legacy that continues to resonate today. The notion of a lost civilization is largely a Western construct. While the classic period cities of the southern lowlands were indeed depopulated and largely abandoned, the Maya people did not vanish. Rather, their civilization underwent significant shifts. Populations migrated north to the Yucatan Peninsula, leading to the rise of new centers like Chichen Itza and Mayapan. These post-classic period cities, while different in architectural style and political structure from their classic predecessors, clearly maintained a cultural continuity with the past, adapting to new environmental and social realities. The Maya persevered, their resilience a testament to their deep-rooted cultural identity. What remains are the tangible echoes, the monumental architecture, the surviving codices, the ceramics, and the hieroglyphic inscriptions that, thanks to dedicated decipherment, now speak to us across millennia. These physical remnants are invaluable, providing direct evidence of their advanced understanding of astronomy, mathematics, engineering, and their complex belief systems. Sites like Palenque, Tikal, and Copan stand as open-air museums, preserving blueprints of their grand societal structures and the narratives of their divine kings and queens. The intricate details of their art, from the featherwork to the personal body modifications, offer glimpses into their aesthetics and world views. Yet, the absence is also profound. We lament the loss of countless codices destroyed during the Spanish conquest, which would have provided an even richer tapestry of their lives, their science, and their oral histories. We grapple with the silent stones, trying to fully reconstruct the intricate social and political dynamics that led to both growth and decline. The voices of millions of common Maya people, whose lives were the backbone of this civilization, are largely inferred from broader archaeological patterns, their individual hopes and fears often lost to time. The enduring legacy, however, is not only in the ruins, but in the living Maya people. Today, millions of Maya descendants continue to reside in Central America and Mexico, speaking various Mayan languages, practicing customs rooted in their ancient heritage, and struggling to maintain their cultural identity in the modern world. Their enduring presence, their reverence for maize, their knowledge of the land, and their storytelling traditions are powerful, living echoes of their ancestors. The secrets of the lost empire are not truly lost. They are whispered by the wind through ancient temples, etched in the glyphs patiently deciphered, and most importantly, carried in the hearts and minds of a resilient people, reminding us that knowledge, like life, finds a way to persist, even through centuries of absence and change. From the echoes of absence, where the jungle's green embrace slowly consumed the monumental cities, we now turn to the modern gaze, the determined efforts of explorers, archaeologists, and scientists who, over centuries, have sought to unveil these lost cities. Their journey of discovery, often arduous and fraught with danger, has painstakingly peeled back the layers of vegetation and time, illuminating the sophisticated civilization that once thrived in the heart of Mesoamerica. The rediscovery of Maya sites began in earnest in the 18th and 19th centuries, often by accidental encounters or through the persistent rumors of colossal ruins hidden deep within the jungle. Early accounts by adventurers like John Frederick Waldeck, and particularly John Lloyd Stephens and Frederick Catherwood in the 1840s, brought the Maya to the attention of the Western world. Stephens' vivid prose and Catherwood's incredibly detailed illustrations of sites like Palenque, Copan, and Uxmal, published in Incidents of Travel in Central America, Chiapas, and Yucatan, shattered prevailing notions that such monumental architecture could only be attributed to Old World civilizations. Their groundbreaking work firmly established that an indigenous American civilization was responsible for these wonders. The early 20th century saw the beginnings of systematic archaeological investigation. Pioneering figures like Teoberto Mala and Sylvanus G. Morley embarked on arduous expeditions, mapping sites, photographing standing architecture, and copying hieroglyphic inscriptions. Their work laid the essential groundwork for understanding the scale and distribution of Maya urbanism. The first major archaeological project at a classic Maya site, the Carnegie Institution of Washington's multi-decade excavation at Chichen Itza, beginning in 1924, employed hundreds of workers and began to reveal the intricate engineering and artistic prowess beneath the surface. Similarly, the University of Pennsylvania Museum's Tikal project from 1956 to 1969 transformed our understanding of a major classic period city, unveiling its vast ceremonial core and residential areas. Technological advancements have revolutionized the modern gaze. Aerial photography, initially used to identify potential sites, has been superseded by remote sensing technologies, most notably LiDAR, light detection and ranging. By penetrating the dense forest canopy with laser pulses, LiDAR creates detailed 3D maps of the terrain below, revealing hidden structures, agricultural fields, and extensive causeway networks with unprecedented clarity. This has expanded the known extent of Maya urbanism exponentially, revealing that their cities were far more sprawling and interconnected than previously imagined. Today, integrated approaches, combining traditional excavation with cutting-edge science like paleoclimatology, residue analysis, and osteology, continue to unveil the secrets of the Maya. This ongoing effort is not merely about uncovering ruins. It's about reconstructing lives, understanding societies, and giving voice to a brilliant civilization that flourished for millennia. The modern gaze, armed with curiosity and technology, continues to push back the jungle's embrace, allowing us to bear witness to the enduring legacy of the Maya. As the modern gaze continues to unveil the monumental achievements of the ancient Maya, penetrating the jungle's canopy with LiDAR and meticulously analyzing their artistic and architectural marvels, one profound truth becomes undeniably clear. The Maya did not disappear. Their civilization, though transformed, endures. The lost empire never truly vanished. Its spirit lives on subtly and overtly, influencing the world today in countless ways, a testament to the resilience and depth of a truly remarkable culture. Perhaps the most direct and vibrant influence lies in the millions of modern Maya people living in southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. They are not relics of the past but living descendants, maintaining distinct cultural identities, speaking over 30 different Mayan languages, and often preserving ancestral traditions in their daily lives. Their clothing, particularly the brightly colored, intricately woven textiles, huipiles and cortes, carries forward patterns and motifs that echo ancient designs, demonstrating a continuous artistic lineage stretching back centuries. Their agricultural practices, particularly the cultivation of maize, beans, and squash within the Milpa system, remain a vital connection to their ancestors' sustainable relationship with the land. Beyond direct ancestry, Maya ingenuity has left an indelible mark on global culture and science. Their sophisticated mathematical contributions, including the concept of zero and a positional numeral system, were developed independently and parallel to other great civilizations. Their astronomical observations, so precisely recorded in the Dresden Codex and encoded in structures like El Caracol, continue to astound, providing a powerful demonstration of their intellectual prowess. Many staple foods that sustain billions worldwide, such as chocolate, derived from cacao, chapter 2, corn, maize, chapter 12, vanilla, and chilies, were first domesticated and cultivated by the ancient Maya and other Mesoamerican cultures. The rich tapestry of Maya mythology and spiritual beliefs, partially preserved in texts like the Popol Vuh, continues to offer profound insights into human-nature relationships and cyclical views of time. Contemporary Maya spiritual leaders and shamans still perform ceremonies rooted in ancient practices, using traditional prayers and offerings to connect with the natural world and their ancestors. The resurgence of interest in their calendars, often misconstrued as predictions of world endings, has instead highlighted the incredible precision of their astronomical and chronological systems, inspiring new generations to explore the depths of their intellectual legacy. The enduring spirit of the Maya is a powerful reminder that history is not static. It is a living, breathing force that continually shapes the present and informs the future. From the monumental ruins re-emerging from the jungle to the vibrant communities thriving today, the secrets of the lost empire are not merely archaeological curiosities. They are an ongoing narrative of human ingenuity, resilience, and a deep spiritual connection to the cosmos, proving that the echoes of this great civilization will continue to inspire and inform us for generations to come. The Maya, in every sense, are still here,